Alaska as a new Yalta, what is behind the Putin-Trump summit? On August 11, 2025, the Russian TV channel 60 Minutes solemnly announced the first personal meeting between Putin and Trump in 6 years will take place on August 15th in Alaska. Formally, this is a diplomatic event that could become a historic breakthrough. In fact, it is a dangerous attempt to reform up the war in Ukraine behind the scenes, without the participation of Ukraine itself and without full representation of Europe. The image of symbolic Alaska and playing on emotions. The television narrative plays on historical symbolism. Russian America, the place where the Russian flag was flying, never visited by a Russian leader. This is presented as a gesture of respect and mutual recognition that is beneficial to the Kremlin. From the point of view of international politics, the message is clear. Russia is returning to the big game as an actor equal to the United States, despite the war, sanctions, and diplomatic isolation. Territories in exchange for a truce. According to the version voiced in the studio, the scenarios discussed include withdrawal of Ukrainian troops from the territories of the DPR and LPR and their recognition as Russian, retention of the Kherson and Zaporizhia regions by Russia as a strategic land corridor to Crimea, a possible territory exchange in the future, but without real concessions from the Russian side, only symbolic withdrawal of troops from minor areas on the border. This is presented as a two-stage plan. Freezing the conflict, a final agreement at a personal meeting of the leaders. For Kyiv, this is a painful compromise. For Moscow, the consolidation of military trophies in the status of a new reality. References to Yalta and Potsdam Western media quoted in the program draw direct parallels with conferences during the Second World War, when the fate of countries was decided without their participation. For the Russian audience, this is a nostalgic signal of a return to the era of great treaties, while for the European audience, it is an alarming sign. A new format for dividing spheres of influence is being formed, in which the EU and Ukraine play secondary roles. Simply handing over land to Russia in exchange for a fragile truce that might last only a moment is not only a politically toxic idea, it is also frankly short-sighted. It is hard to imagine what Russia currently occupies that it would agree to give back to Ukraine. There are small pockets of land north of Sumy and east and northeast of Kharkiv, border territories that Putin calls a buffer zone. Moscow might be willing to retreat from there, but these are tiny compared to the vast expanses that Russia is encroaching on, demanding that Kyiv surrender them to the mercy of the victor without a fight. Among these territories are two cities in the Donetsk region, Pokrovsk and Konstantinovka, that have already been all but encircled by Russia's summer offensive. It is not over yet, but the noose is tightening, and the outcome is a foregone conclusion. Let us not forget that Putin clearly wants more. According to the leaked Wall Street Journal, Russia is offering a ceasefire in exchange for the withdrawal of Ukrainian troops from the entire territory of the DPR and LPR, as well as recognition of the People's Republics and Crimea as Russian. Moscow is ready to fix the current front line and then discuss a territorial exchange to gain full control over the Kherson and Zaporizhia regions. Risks for Europe, marginalization of Ukraine, an attempt to remove it from the negotiation process and present it with the fait accompli of decisions already made. Blurring of the sanctions regime. The Kremlin links even a temporary ceasefire with the immediate lifting of sanctions. A precedent for a behind-the-scenes settlement, fixing territorial seizures as the basis for future normalization. The Alaska summit is not about peace, but about moving the front line to the sphere of diplomacy, where the Kremlin feels more confident. Russia is seeking to legitimize what it has won, present concessions as impossible, and compromises as unilateral goodwill. For Europe, these are not just negotiations in an exotic location, but a potential potential point of no return in the issue of international law and the territorial integrity of Ukraine.